Have you actually wondered whether how the ISACA event was? Because we actually had many conversations about it. We even had multiple guests come on, and we over talked about it and talked about different events which we were expecting to actually have. And yes, it was actually a very monumental event. So in this episode, we actually talk about what we found very unique about the ISACA event with me, Deogratius Okello, Angella, Nabbanja, and Josephine Olok. Welcome, ladies. How are you guys?
We're fine, Dale. How are you doing?
Fine, Dale. How are you doing? And welcome back from the conference.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think you had a lot of work to do there at the conference. How did you prepare for it?
Preparation was just, first of all, it was unique that my current employer, even if I've not been there for long, actually was the one who paid for that whole event. So it was unique, and it really stood out for me. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's unique, even if you've not spent a lot of time there. But them doing that also affirmed me as a loyal supporter of the company. Maybe they've kept me for some few years because of that. Anyways, so yeah, preparation was first making sure that I get paid for the event. Then later on, having conversations with the team who are in the preparation. So we had the marketing team, because I was in that group for marketing. So we talked about different things concerning how we were going to prepare the event.
Oh, that's nice. You're part of the marketing team. You're marketing to whom? Was that before the event?
Well, before the event, we had talked about having us talk about ISACA as a whole, because all of us are members right now. Yeah, but before we had someone who was not yet a member. Someone. Yeah.
Who shall not be mentioned.
Someone who was not a member yet. But yeah, it was, the good thing, it's one of those conferences which unites so many of us in the security and audit environment. So it's good to network and communicate with people of like-minded. You find different guys doing the same role as you there, and it's really unique. So yeah, that's one of the key things that led me to, in my preparation, that's one thing which I wanted to actually look forward to actually have. Yeah, the other thing was preparing my suit. Yeah, so I was the guy with the suit the whole time. No, the first day I put on my tie, the rest I didn't put on my tie. I don't know what went wrong.
It was nice.
Were you one of the only ones wearing a suit, or other people were?
Majority of people were wearing suits, by the way. Yeah, so at least you didn't feel out of place. Yeah, but yeah, it was nice to, because this is like my normal. I put on my trouser and a shirt, and then call it a day. Yes, that is my normal because of the teaching background. So I have that normal dress code of like a pretty standard teacher. Even if they told us they used to tell us to put on ties. That one has still failed for now. Stay tuned. Next year maybe I'll start putting on the tie. But yeah, that's currently the situation.
Nice, Dale. It was nice seeing you rather sharp in a suit. And which guest stood out for you? And what did you pick from the guest interview?
The guest that stood out for me, it would be, I'm trying to think because there were too many good ones. I would say Sanjeev was who. It's very hard for me to pick one because they were all good. Because we had one for CISOs, we had one for data privacy. Because I think I would say the breakout session concerning data privacy by Siriano, which was one of our sponsors and one of our trainers, was interesting because definitely, since data is the new oil, conversations concerning how we contain information, how long we keep it, and how long we ensure that information of people is actually stored and kept secret, and what is supposed to be private and what is not supposed to be private. We had conversations of like, if you enter a hotel and there are cameras, are they supposed to ask for consent from you to actually record you? So things like that, you'd be like, is it true? So stuff like that. So there are those mind-boggling questions about privacy. So they talked a lot about data privacy and how can you ensure that you are compliant and also ensure that information which is private remains private, and what is actually, what does privacy actually mean? Do you consent to everything, and where is consent required? Because now in the scenario of the hotel, there is no consent required for them to actually use cameras in their building. So you either come there knowing very well that you are going to be recorded with their cameras, or you choose to leave and not come. So yeah, things like that. And yeah, there were a lot of discussions concerning that. So data privacy stood out for me. I also would like to say also the cybersecurity one also stood out for me, because we had a breakout session for cybersecurity and we had that red team and blue team. For those who don't know about red team and blue team, it's basically red is usually for people who are doing the attacking, so hacking. Then the blue team are those who usually defend. So the red teams were hacking, and the blue teams were trying to defend and find out exactly how the attack was happening. And that was a session created by Milima. So that was also an interesting session.
That's interesting. And for the sake, for the case of cameras, owners are actually required to notify people that they're being recorded. When you go to public spaces, you've seen that notice. This is under surveillance, CCTV surveillance. Because if you do not notify people, you can't give that evidence in court. So also secret cameras, that footage is not admissible in court. So the question of privacy and security is really, really interesting.
Actually, that's one of the discussions we had, and one of the things we boiled out to, that is more of like a notification, but it's not required, because by default, if you're going into someone's premises and they have already put cameras inside it, unless it is in the bathrooms or the toilets, that one is now out of bounds. Unless it's in the toilets or in the bathrooms. That is
so that's against, yes.
Yeah, but if it is now like in the quadrangles or inside, like maybe those rooms which we use for, not bedrooms, we're talking about rooms like in the conferences where
lobbies,
we have like those conference rooms, that one is okay. So you don't
you should notify people.
You're actually not required to notify anyone for such.
No, you are.
You are not.
You are.
All in
Yeah,
all, you missed the data
we can
privacy
bet on that.
class. You missed the
No, we
data
can bet
privacy
on that.
class. So
But why do you think that those notices are there?
the next ISACA
No,
conference, you should come and
just
join.
imagine. No, I
I
know
think
that
you're
you're supposed
required
to
to notify.
notify. Yes, that's why you
You're
see
required to
those
notify.
notices that this premise is under CCTV surveillance.
No, you're
So,
not. But anyway, let's proceed.
Dale, I'm telling you.
Ah,
Anyway.
Yeah, I think you're required to do so.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, so unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend physically, but I was there online. I missed some sessions, but yeah, I think the data privacy was a good one. I like uh, the update that the lady from NITA gave about what they're doing. I mean, not NITA, NERA, about what they're
Oh,
doing with data and all that. But I don't
yes.
know whether she gave enough assurance to people that our data is safe.
Mostly because they
Uh,
collect personal identifiable information nearer.
yes,
yeah.
yeah,
They should
and
give.
and especially as they have APIs with different organizations, so I
Mm,
think that assurance needs to happen sooner rather than later, so people feel at least that their data
safe.
is safe. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, so Dale, you moderated two sessions. How was the first one you had? You had one with George Njuguna, about talking about cybersecurity in a hyper-connected world. How was that for you?
Well, it was the first one, so obviously I was very anxious.
Oh.
To some point, words were refusing to come out of my mouth. Yeah, I'm talking, but the words are not coming. But yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, it was good. Um, Basically, for those who didn't attend, or for those who want a recap, um, it was about, as I said, cybersecurity in a hyper-connected world. So we're looking at how is cybersecurity is implemented in this current stage we are currently in. Things to do with how do we manage cloud, how the technologies are being used, like endpoint detection and response tools like EDR. I didn't want to use EDR, confusing people. So things like SIM tools, which are used for monitoring,
Um,
and things like what else? Things like, yeah, the different tools which you can actually use for that monitoring, and yeah, having a human firewall. I remember that because I asked a question about creating a human firewall, which is about basically security awareness, so that people do not do things haphazardly, all in the names of maybe if someone wants internet and then they use the company network for internet, but not thinking that this can also be a way or a backdoor for actually if someone to actually attack the organization. So things like not, clicking on links anyhowly. So those were also things which they highlighted. So at the end of the day, it all starts with us people in order for us to create a better cybersecurity. So you need to first reinforce the person, then it's easier for you to, transition the technology accordingly. So that would be like my key takeaway from that conversation.
that's interesting because you know that saying of a chain is as strong as its weakest link. So if the
True.
weakest link is the person, the
Yeah.
user,
Yeah.
really, so all your SIM and EDR won't do anything for you.
Can you
And
tell us a little bit about George and his profile?
Well, George is a guy who works for. Let me quickly. I thought I'd remembered it off head, but anyways.
you are
So
starstruck.
I was starstruck at that moment. So is a professional with over a decade in cybersecurity and GRC. The company is currently working with is called SilenceSec, which is part of Cyber Rangers. Basically, what they do is help with training of people in cybersecurity and ensuring that you create a better cybersecurity for everyone, and is also a lead implementer of ISO 27001. Yeah, that one is for cybersecurity, and ISO for cybersecurity. And he's from the ISACA Kenya chapter, for context.
Oh, interesting. I actually got trained. I actually did a boot camp training with SilenceSec long time ago, but boot camp training ISO 27, the ISO 27001. Yeah, it was a boot camp. I think 3-day boot camp on training with that company, which is interesting. Yeah.
Intense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So could you please tell us about the data flows without borders, balancing global regulations, customer trust, and operational realities with Sanjeev Gathani?
So Sanjeev was the interesting one. It was one which I was now more well versed with everything. So when they told me, baby, this one, can you also work on this one? I'm like, yeah, it's okay. So he just quickly gave me the profile, like, okay, yeah, you're next on the after this time. He told me at 12:10 you'll be on. I'm like, okay. So yes, when 12:10 came, that was around when people were having breakfast. I'm like, okay. So as I was still on the line, I get a call, please come in front, you need to start moderating the session there. And then I'm like, okay, let's get it on. So yeah, I ended up going up and briefly going through his profile. And since he was a guest who was not within, so they set it up. It was a Zoom kind of setup, so you could see the guy's face and his slides were being presented. So yeah, it was definitely another interesting one. And though this one I was more comfortable on the stage, because I was now, yes, the jitters
nerves
had gone. And I think day 3 was more interesting for me, because that's when I had the moderation, so back to back. And yeah, it was a very good one. So I'm still reminiscing on that good day. So anyways,
and what are most challenges?
I was talking about myself. I forgot to talk about what data flows without borders is about. So data flows without borders was about how do you manage how data is being controlled, being stored, being, ensuring that information is stored in the proper way, ensuring that I think the key takeaways for this one was, one, let me hope I remember the second one. One was ensuring that you have the right vendor. So you have to go through a proper audit of the particular vendor you're actually going to use. So, and the vendor has to be right for your type of company, and also has a good track record, because it might be hard for you in the long run if you don't have the right vendor to manage your information. So yeah, that's the first thing, ensure you have the right vendor. So in this case, we are talking about mostly the cloud vendor. So that cloud vendor has to be the right one for you. And also this other, let's say, even if you're having it on premise, so you have to have the right vendor to manage your data properly. Secondly, if I'm not mistaken, is still around how do you capture the data and how do you control the flow of the data. So basically the systems, are they arranged properly? Is there the right personnel to actually manage the data which is being used? Yeah, so yeah, those are my key takeaways from that.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of discussion around how do you, I think I think if I remember correctly, how do you select a cloud service provider? How do you get support? How do you manage? It's almost like how do you manage a remote relationship? So I think that discussion was interesting because you know a lot of the cloud service providers are big players. So as a small company, how do you ensure that you get the support you need, that you get your requirements, your security requirements catered for? So that was an interesting discussion. I think Sanjeev gave a very good presentation on that. So, you did meet obviously some interesting people, Dale. Can you tell us about the people who you networked with and those people who stood out for you?
There were many. Trying to look. I'm terrible with names, but I'm good with faces, so bear with me. So for the ISACA event, there are quite a number of people who I met. There are some whose faces are now familiar, like guys like Norman from BRAC. That was a guy who we met last year, and this year meeting him again was also interesting. He is in audit. Another interesting person is definitely George, because I had never met him before, and it was interesting to meet someone then, since it was also my first person I'm moderating on ISACA or anywhere. It's not like I am a professional moderator. Yes, so that was my first, and so I don't think I'll forget him. There's also a lady called Hilda Angella from Sentinel. That was also another interesting one, because Sentinel also does things to do with cybersecurity, so it was good to pick on their brains concerning that. I also have some cards here. Obviously, I'm not going to share their contacts, but so yeah, there was Stella. Stella works for Sentinel. We had talked on LinkedIn some time back. So they were planning on setting up something here in Uganda for especially for those different implementations of ISO and I think also PCI DSS. So it's a consulting company which does that. So I talked to her some time back because there was an event for, I believe it was ISC2. So she was on. So yeah, it was interesting what she was saying concerning those different ISO standards and how they help organizations implement it. So yeah, we talked on LinkedIn for some time, but those things of talking to someone on LinkedIn and actually meeting someone, those are two different things. So yeah, meeting them was also a unique one. Another interesting company was Squatch and Script, which is also for cybersecurity. The other one is there's an interesting guy from well, I'm forgetting the name of the company, but it was one of the sponsors. Yeah, he was an intriguing fellow. He had the charisma. How am I forgetting the name of the company? Only know, yeah, he was a very interesting guy and was talking mostly towards how do they help integrate companies to different technologies and being that bridge to enable businesses work. Yeah, so yeah, it was an interesting conversation I had with him. And yeah, his love, yeah, the company he was working for is Diligent. If I'm not mistaken, his name was Jerry. Yeah, I think Jerry. Yeah, so yeah, it was an interesting conversation we had with him concerning how he manages things and how he likes to, push things here and there, and how does he work on business, and how does he, you know, there's that thing of being starstruck from how someone is able to do things. So I was kind of starstruck by the way he was able to present himself, how he did things, and all that. So it was interesting. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name clearly, but yes, it was an interesting conversation we had with him.
Okay. So what stood out for you in the ISACA events?
Well, I'm this type of person who doesn't enjoy being on the sidelines when something is being created. So it was interesting to work on, like, us preparing, having sessions with these guys about the event before it actually coming to pass. So it was interesting to work on, having them on board, from the president, vice president, to the communications director. Yeah, it was interesting having them, talking to them, even going to Hotel Africana the day before, the week before the actual conference, to actually meet and interact with them. So it was really intriguing, and there's a lot of information shared. And yes, so the final days, like when we were there, it was more of like, this has actually come to pass. I was just taking everything in. I'm like, oh, this is actually happening. So yeah, it was nice to be part of the creating of the hype for the thing, and actually attending. So yes.
It was nice. It was nice being part of the ISACA story and
Yeah.
spreading the word. Yeah.
So I think we are next into the parting shots. For parting shots, those who have waited till the end, yeah, Josephine has a special parting shot about something she should tell us.
You're done with ISACA?
I think we are
I
done.
thought you were going to do parting shots for audience of ISACA, the benefits perhaps of the
Yes.
conference, what you gained from it. I think it'd be nice to reflect on that, so that next time people will really, will it won't be a hard sell for them, because you'll be able to say what you actually gained from attending and being involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would basically say that if you're a person who enjoys, like, conversations with both people from the board level to people who are actually doing the work, ISACA would be a very good conference for you to actually come and join, and even actually being a member, because you get to interact with these people on a personal basis, and it's easier for you to now, create those relationships or mentorships, which will help enable you in grow your career in the long run. So those conversations really benefit you more. And now, to make it better, that ISACA is a global company or certification body, so when you do their papers also, it's on a global scale. So it's not only helping you, connect with people both inland, so it's connecting you with people outland, and also gives you the access to actually go and work in any other place of the world. I'm sure people like Angella want to go and travel to the US, work there for 1 year, then go to another country, work there. So like if it's something which is nice, because you can even actually, there's some people who you actually interact with and they're like, I'm actually a ISACA Kampala chapter member, but I'm not based here. I'm actually in a different country. So it's intriguing and also motivating. So if that is something you'd want, that then meet us on the next ISACA event, which is next year in September. So meaning you have a lot of time to prepare. Angela, you have a lot of time to prepare. So yeah, we shall have more guests, more intriguing conversations. So yes, that would be my parting shot. So Josephine, you are hiding now. It's your turn.
I was not hiding. I wanted you to wrap properly. Thank you for that, Theo. I think it was good to see you getting involved. It was good to see. I think the content was very rich. My only regret was I wasn't able to attend physically. I would have really liked to do that. I feel like I missed out on the networking. But yeah, so on to my. I want to announce that we have. I think we've been talking about it on social media, but as Fitspa, we have our annual conference coming up as well. It's going to be on the 3rd and 4th, which is next Thursday and Friday. And our theme for this year is is collaboration for growth, leveraging partnership and collaboration to drive innovation and growth in Uganda's fintech sector. We are looking very much into how we can get our members access capital. I think it's about attracting investors, getting our members, attractive and able to access investments. Our keynote speaker, who we are getting all the way from the US, is called David Birch. He's our keynote speaker. He's an author, he's an advisor, and he's a commentator on digital financial services. So he's going to be really talking to the subject that we want to highlight. So I don't want to give away too much, but I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think I've now attended them for the past I think 4 or 5 years, and each year the themes get bigger, the attendance gets bigger, the themes are exciting, we get bigger and bigger keynote speakers, and I think this year it's not an exception to that. So hope I will see you guys there, and I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. Of course, for us, it's as we lead up to the conference, it's a bit hectic, but I know we're going to enjoy ourselves, and we're very excited. We'll be very excited to host you all. So thank you for the opportunity to talk about the Fitspa conference, Theo and Angela, and we look forward to seeing you there.
See you, Josephine and Theo.
Yeah, so I've shared the link, so of the details, how to register and all that. So Theo, I hope you will see the link.
Yeah, all that will be in the show notes, so don't mind about that. Other than that, I guess we shall call it a day, and we'll see you all in the next episode of the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.